Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna show you this week some more of the meals that I made during the Pantry Challenge. This is for Pantry Challenge week 2 for me. So I'm gonna show you some of the meals I made. I did end up going to the grocery store and spending about $100. That's a pretty small amount for my family. So I bought a little bit of produce, a little bit of peanut butter, and a little bit of butter. So like I said before, I knew I was gonna run out of fats, and I haven't run out of everything, but butter is really important for a lot of the baked goods that I make. So I went ahead and bought some of that, and I will be making sure to stock up on butter even more throughout this year. So I have learned something already. Also wanted to mention that doing this Pantry Challenge now, I have really seen and recognized how much the Lord provides for my family in ways that are not just through my husband's income, but so many people in our community have given me things. I had a sweet friend at church give me some onions, another sweet friend at church give me some pumpkins that she grew. Just so much is given to us that I wasn't really thinking about before. So just so thankful to the Lord for how He provides for us. And this challenge so far has really opened my eyes to that even more. So there's just so much to be thankful for, even in times when groceries are expensive and there's a lot going on in the world. We still have hope, and we can trust Christ with everything that's going on, and knowing that He is the King and that He is ruling and reigning over our world. So on this evening, I had about half of a box of these panko breadcrumbs to use, so I decided to use them on some chicken and to dredge them in that and make some chicken Parmesan. So to my breadcrumbs, I've added some Parmesan cheese and some Italian seasoning, some salt and pepper, and I'm just gonna stir that all together, and then I will dredge my chicken in that. The other reason that I decided to do chicken Parmesan is because I had half of a box of spaghetti here left over, so I'm gonna use that up also. So I've seasoned my chicken with some salt, pepper, and garlic powder, and then I've mixed up some eggs together here. So I'm just gonna dredge it in the eggs and then into the breadcrumbs and Parmesan cheese and seasonings mixture and put it right into my pan. I've got some water here boiling for the noodles. So I'm gonna add plenty of salt to my water to get it ready to go. For my frying oil, I'm using coconut oil because I still have plenty of that. So I'm just using a very simple dredge method to get these covered and fried. Another idea, if you don't have breadcrumbs, would be to use some crackers. I usually will just kind of crumple up some crackers and use that instead of breadcrumbs. But you want this to be coated really well so that it will be nice and stuck to the chicken and it won't come off during frying. So I'm trying to coat this really well. I'm using my hands and my tongs to make sure that I get it coated, and this will go right into the pan. My chicken is nice and golden, my noodles are boiling, and it won't be long before supper will be ready. Now for my sauce, I only have part of a jar of sauce, so I'm putting some of it in the pan so that I can stick my chicken into the oven. I've got some mozzarella cheese that I'm putting on top of each piece of chicken, and then a little bit of the sauce, and then a little more mozzarella on top, and I'm gonna bake this in the oven for a few minutes. And then as part of my groceries I bought recently, I just went ahead and bought this bag of salad, and I'll serve that with our chicken Parmesan tonight, and that'll be nice and easy. So I'm popping this into the oven for a few minutes just so everything can get melty. Now I've put the rest of my jar of sauce into my noodles, but I need to stretch it because there's not enough. So I'm using some tomato paste for that. I have plenty of that right now. So I'm just gonna mix in some tomato paste and a little bit of my chicken bone broth to thin it out a little. And that is how I'm going to add more tomato sauce to my noodles. This turned out great. It ended up incorporating really well. No one in my family noticed that it wasn't just the jarred marinara sauce. No one knew that it was also tomato paste and bone broth, but I'm also adding more nutrients to this by using the bone broth. So that all worked out really well, and I used up another ingredient that I had. The chicken is ready to come out of the oven, and supper is served. Thankfully our chickens are laying, so I'm going to use those for my quiche. We should be pretty well in eggs now that they're all laying. And on Sunday at church, someone gave me some beautiful Seminole pumpkins. So I've got those roasted up, and I'm going to use those to make some pumpkin bread for snacks this week and for some pumpkin crisp for dessert tonight. I will link this recipe below, but it actually called for coconut milk to go in with the pumpkin, and that worked out really well because I have some of that also in my pantry. But the Seminole pumpkin is something that works really well in Florida. It's native to Florida and it grows well here, so this was delicious. It was the first time I've actually tried one, and now I'm thinking about maybe growing some next year. But to my pumpkin crisp, I'm adding all the warm spices to this, and then I'm going to put a crisp topping on top. And I actually had some pumpkin seeds also that I could use for it to add to the topping, so I did that. But I will link the recipe in case you are interested in trying this. You don't have to use a Seminole pumpkin. You could use whatever pumpkin you enjoy, or you could use a butternut squash also. Making pumpkin crisp.
Pumpkin crisp? I thought you were making pumpkin cake.
Not cake, crisp.
Oh.
Here's my pumpkin crisp, about to go into the oven. This was a pretty ambitious vessel for this, but hopefully it's gonna work out. It's not supposed to rise any or anything, so should be fine, hopefully. And that'll be our dessert tonight. Okay, I had some leftover bacon and breakfast sausage, so I'm making a quiche. And I put some chives in there from my grocery store trip where I bought some fresh produce and stuff. I don't have another pie plate because one of them is in the freezer with a chicken pot pie in it, and the other is in a friend's freezer or at her house with a chicken pot pie in it because she was going through a hard time, so I don't have any more. So I decided to use this cake pan. Gotta get creative sometimes, even with the pantry challenge and what you're cooking your things in. So in this cake pan, I'm making my quiche. So I'm gonna get that in now. Here's the quiche about to go into the oven. I do have a recipe video for quiche, so I can link that also, and my all butter pie crust. Working on some sandwich bread here, 2 loaves of sandwich bread. This morning was a pretty chilly day for Florida. It was in the mid-40s, so the kids are outside playing and I'm just making them some hot chocolate so they'll enjoy that when they come inside from playing out in the cold. This is my hot chocolate recipe. This is what I use every time. You just mix the first 4 ingredients together, let them cook, kind of simmer just for a few minutes, and then you add your cream and your milk, take it off the heat and add the vanilla. Once it's nice and hot, it's ready to serve. Our favorite way to drink it is in a teapot and with teacups. Lunch today was chicken noodle soup, so I'm using up some of our emergency food in the pantry, some things that would be going bad if I didn't eat those, so that was lunch today. Tonight it's going to be some street tacos with some white onion and some lettuce here. I have some salsa. I have a little bit of corn tortillas. I also had some flour tortillas I can use, and I have some ground beef, so we can do some easy tacos. And I know I have some tortilla chips that can go with the salsa and some guacamole as well. There's also some cheese and sour cream, so everything we need for taco night. Got my taco meat here and just making up some taco seasoning as I go. And mine is going to be similar to what you find in the store, but I don't put sugar in mine. But I just sprinkle in some paprika, chili powder, some onion powder, garlic powder, some cumin, and just a little bit of cinnamon, salt and pepper. Here is our taco night spread, and that's what we had for supper this night. Super easy. I can always find something to make tacos. Okay, I have this home canned marmalade that I made about a year ago. So to use that up, I decided to use the whole jar to make some orange chicken. So I'm adding in some soy sauce. I added a few other spices to this, just kind of winging it. I'm going to use some leftover rice on the side of that. I'm just going to warm that up in the microwave. So I'm taking my pieces of chicken and just frying those up. I used a little bit of cornstarch to cover them in to get them a little bit crispy on the outside. So I'm going to get those fried up, and then I'm going to add my sauce to it to make it orange chicken. Often orange chicken will have some kind of chili sauce or hot sauce in it. So I had this little jar, so I decided to use some of that up. Recipes will also call for rice wine vinegar a lot of times, but I didn't have that, so I'm using up malt vinegar. And then also on the side, I'm cooking up some stir-fry vegetables, so I'm just going to add those to my onions into my pan, just kind of stir-fry those up. I forgot to add the grated ginger, so I've just peeled some ginger. I'm going to get that grated and put into here. Chicken is pretty much done. My orange chicken. Sauce is looking nice and thick, looking good. It's all coated really well. And I'm almost finished stir frying these vegetables. They'll be done pretty soon. And then I'm just gonna heat up that leftover rice and we'll be ready to eat. This used up quite a few things that were in my pantry, so I'm pretty excited about that. I only had a little rice vinegar left, so I used that. I used a little bit of malt vinegar. There's a tiny bit left, so I have to find another use for that. I used some of that chili crisp little seasoning bottle thing that I had, which there's more of that, so I can find another use. And it used a whole jar, which was a little pint jar, or no, it was a little half pint jar of orange marmalade. I have a couple more of those, so I can find some other uses, but it used up this one. So that was great. I am thankful to have used that up, and I tried making something new, and this was really fun. It was really good, something different, and we don't have to order this kind of takeout. anymore, which we don't usually do that anyways, but it's a good thing to have in the repertoire, and this is going to be a really tasty dinner. And that was our orange chicken dinner on this night. It turned out really good. It was a really good use of that marmalade. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope that you got some inspiration from this for using up some things that are in your pantry or fridge or freezer so that we can waste a little bit less and use up what we have. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time.